What's the relationship between kings and gods?
Well, the first kings were gods.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important to remember, because it kind of breaks the mold of, hey, these are two completely separate things. What are they doing overlap? Never the two shall meet. Basically, to remember distinctly that politics and religion, first of all, were the same thing. Still are understood as essentially the same thing in other cultures.
Yes.
And that basically this the separation of church and state, or of king and god, is actually an upgrade. Okay? It's an upgrade to the religious structure, because back when kings were gods, shit would get awkward every time one of them died.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, there are stories about how the North Koreans were freaking out when the Kim Senior died.
Yeah.
And like, some weren't sure if the sun was going to rise next day. I don't know how true that is. But the thing is, there's a lot of upheaval, okay, when you think that God's dead. So the model of making the king, instead of the king being a god, which was the case, okay, an example, like with Nimrod. So Nimrod's father,
Sumer?
Tammuz. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tammuz was the king and the god. And his wife Semiramis was his queen. And when he died, suddenly things got weird. And in my opinion, she realized, oh crap, there goes all my power, my comfortable lifestyle, and so on. So she probably got one of the high priests to fuck her immediately. Anyway, she became pregnant fairly quickly and pulled out the high priest alongside her and announced, hey guys, calm down. God's not dead.
He's been reborn.
He's been reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pregnant with him, and it's him again. So this is what was needed. The Trinity story, the story of the king, the father being reborn as the son, was required to create a continuity.
Okay.
In this awkward story of the king is God, God is the king. So it's actually an upgrade. When the king becomes merely a representation or representative of God, then when the king dies, you can just find the god some more representatives, or another representative,
Okay. So the divine right of kings was to make it easier.
Right. It makes it way easier than the divine king.
Yeah.
Because when you have a divine king, you've got a mortality problem. When you have a divine right of kings, all you need is for the high priest to anoint the next one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's an upgrade. It makes the whole structure more resilient. Okay, like Nassim Taleb would be proud of that development, where suddenly it wasn't all hinging on the life of a king.
Yeah.
The death of a king wouldn't really be a problem. Thank you so much. I'd say ching, but then we'd all go to hell. Concha is a non-alcoholic drink. Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's you can see how that it eases the continuity. If the king is just a representative of the deity, the king can die and just be replaced. A good example of this would be when the Russian government, half the Russian government, disappeared into the Ural in a burning wreckage of plane debris. Nobody for a second thought that Mother Russia was mortally wounded.
Right.
Mother Russia, power animal,
bear,
gender, female. No one thought that Mother Russia was mortally wounded. She just got new reps.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Problem solved. So you've got the structure where you have an overarching deity. It's assigned a power animal and gender. It's casually spoken about as if it has desires and characteristics and acts.
Right. Uncle Sam is pain.
Yeah.
Well, literally.
Yeah. Russia's doing this, and Mexico doesn't like that.
Yeah. Or the most insidious one for us is, of course, we did this.
Right.
Mexico had a war with them, the US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that just shows the totemic nature of these deities, because again, the totem was never a representative of, for example, the bear or the wolf or the eagle, whatever it was. It was a representative of we the people.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't make it any less of a deity. And there's a good argument I've seen that even the Abrahamic God and so forth is a representation of the people.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah, Elohim was supposed to be a fertility god.
Well, Elohim's plural, isn't it?
Oh, that's true.
I believe. But I mean, I guess in most cases fertility requires.
Well, that's right. Yeah, well, that's right. Well, that makes sense with what you're saying, because that means it's not I am, it's we are. So this fits right in with that tribal theory.
Right.